Okay, so let's get started with the second part of the mini series and talk about crafting our message. Vanessa?
Great. So the next part that I want to talk to you all about, I spoke a little bit in the previous part about identifying your values and what that business vision or your career vision and your end game is. And now it's developing what it is that you're specializing in, or you can specialize in, and what it is that you may want to niche down into. So a lot of people ask, why would you niche down? Isn't that cutting out a whole bunch of opportunity? And truly, it's not. And niching down just makes you more of an expert in either an industry or a service, right? So there are some people that are very good at developing games and apps, and that's what they're known for. And even though they may not niche down by industry, they're niching down by an offering, and they look like, and they are the expert in gamification, for example. And people know to go to them if they want a game or, you know, whatever the case may be. So that's what we want to build for you. So I want you to ask yourself, what do you bring to your clients that others do not? Or what do you bring to work that your coworkers don't? And these are areas to start thinking about that you may want to niche down into. Other areas that you may want to niche down, or how to identify it, is identifying who do you want to work for, right? If you had to pick one industry or one client or one company that you wanted to work for, who is that company? Are they small? Are they large? Are they a Fortune 500? Are they a nonprofit? These are all areas that you could niche yourself down into. What kind of work do you want to do? And what kind of work do you not want to do? There are days that I can no longer see a Storyline file, and I consider getting myself out of Storyline, but that would take myself out of a very big piece of my business, so I stay in it. But sometimes I think about that. So there are some areas that you just know that this is not going to be a part that you'll be able to talk to it, but it's not something you want to do every single day, day in and day out. Remember, at the end of the day, work needs to be someplace that is not just work. You have to be excited to do it, because that shows through your work and that shows through your brand, and that will definitely be the difference in your personal brand and having that fun and that expertise and really loving it. The other thing that I want you to think about is, what kind of work are you good at? You may love development or you may love storyboarding, but it might not be your strongest suit, and you have and you have some areas that you need to work on in that. You might be really awesome at needs analysis and working with SMEs. That may be an area I think a little bit more about being part of and niching down into. And needs analysis is usually the one area that gets cut first because everyone wants things super fast, but it's certainly one of the most important, and managing SMEs is sometimes one of the most difficult pieces of working with any client, internal or external. And I'm sure we'll all have a ton of war stories with working with SMEs. So why do you want a niche? You don't want to stay so vague with your niche that you're unclear as to who you serve and what your offer is, right? So if someone goes to your website and you have your niche statement and they're not sure if they fit into that, they're going to close your website and go find someone else. Or they're going to, if you're an internal or looking for a more internal position, they may not think that you're going to be able to get, jive into their organization, and they'll move on to the next candidate. Your potential client has to be clear, just like you need to be clear. So this will also give you the type of the clarity of the kind of work that you want to accept, and most importantly, the work that you're going to thrive doing. So if you're working on something and you are passionate about it and you are good at it, you're going to thrive at it, and you're going to continue to get more work with that client with that organization or within your company and start really making a name for yourself. And it makes it easier for you to be looked at as an expert and really stand out if you're continuously doing something that you do really, really, really well. If you niche down into an industry, it's so helpful because it does kind of help with that ramp up time. So like I spoke about my friend's company I work with, they do work in a specific software for pharmaceutical companies. So we don't have to, number one, we don't have to ramp up a ton on the software. We basically need to know how is it that your business is using this software? And we are the experts in the software. So a lot of times they turn to us and say, what's best practice on how to do this? And also when you niche down into an industry, you'll be able to talk that talk. And you're able to really understand what the challenges are for that industry, and you can help them identify how best to help out with that. And it makes it better when you are writing your content or writing your training, because you start to almost think like a person in that industry. So for example, I worked with the Department of Human Services in Philadelphia, and I did this one training with their best trainer, but their best in-person trainer. And I took that training to online. And so I wrote it. And then at the end, she turned to my CEO and she said, if I did not know any better, I would have assumed Vanessa was a social worker. And those are the types of things, and those are the types of compliments that you want when you are turning around curriculum or where you're turning around learning. So that's why niching down into an industry, if you choose to go down that route, can be so beneficial to you. If you want to niche down into a service, a lot of times what a lot of people will ask me is, so what's best practice? What do other organizations do about this or that? And when you're niching down into a service, whether it's e-learning development or turning ILT to VILT, you could have those best practices in your back pocket and give your clients different options, and you'll know which options work best for that type of organization. So if you would like to niche down into a service, that is a really great way to really make a name for yourself. And when that client speaks with someone else and they're looking for something similar, that's when your name will come up and you'll be the one that they recommend for that offering. So what do we niche at Anchor Training? So we specialize in helping your organization achieve their learning and development goals with your learners and business in mind. And I definitely recommend that you think about and you take a moment to identify what you want to niche down to, and think about these three things. What's your specialty? Who do you serve? And then what problem of theirs do you solve? And then that's where you could turn into your niche statement. So you could say, you know, I, Vanessa Alzate, help instructional designers and e-learning developers. What do I say? I, Vanessa Alzate, help aspiring instructional designers and e-learning developers get off of the sidelines and into the learning and development game. So for my business, where I help instructional designers and e-learning developers, that's kind of my niche statement, right? So people that want to dip their toes in and aren't sure, I'm the ones that help them get into actual L&D. So that's something that I want you all to think about and develop that statement. So what is it that you offer? Who do you offer it for? And then what's their problem that you're trying to solve for them? So I will take any questions you might have.
That's terrific. Does anybody have any questions about niching down or specializing?
So I have a question that I think is probably on a lot of people's minds as they're just emerging, right? So you get your first job, or you start in a graduate program and you get a sample, you know, a little bit of a needs assessment course. You get to do a needs assessment. Then you get to sample an e-learning course. You do a little e-learning. You sample an ID course. You do a little instructional design. You sample a evaluation course. You get to do a huge evaluation project. So how do I think about where I want to niche down into if I'm emerging, and how do I showcase that in a portfolio while still demonstrating that I've done some project work? you know, in a way that's compelling for potential clients or potential employers?
Yeah, so I think that if you specialize in a service and you're emerging, I think it depends on, sorry, just a pop-up just came up and it lost my train of thought. But sorry, so I think that when you are niching down and you're emerging, you have to specialize a little bit, and I'm sorry, broaden a little bit and be general in terms of your portfolio and showcase that you could do a little bit of everything. But what it is that you are at the top, right? And what your first portfolio piece is and your case study to accompany that portfolio should be that area that you are most proud of and that you are going to specialize in. And that is most, like when you are merging, that's what you want to do. Once you have your career and you know the trajectory of where you want to go, I think that's when you can have those sample pieces, always have them, because you never know what it is that where the world's going to take you and a future job is going to take you, but continue to add to your specialty service so they could see a broader range. Because having one or two portfolio pieces when you're kind of more mid or advanced in your career, I think that you would do yourself a disservice. I think if you could do 3 pieces and showcase 3 of your services in 3 totally different ways, you really can show range there. I think if you're emerging, think about the types of jobs that you're going for. So if I'm going for a position to write curriculum, the first thing on my portfolio is going to be a curriculum piece, not an e-learning piece.
That's really great advice. And I think Lenz's question is related to that one. So I'm going to say this, and then if you have anything to add or reiterate, then please do. It says, when you're asking the question, quote, who do you serve? Are you suggesting that it behooves us as IDs to select an industry, for example, higher ed or healthcare or government, rather than using our expertise across industries?
I think that you could do either. So I work across industries. So I have some clients in firm, I have some clients in nonprofit, and I have clients in fashion. Totally different industries, but you don't see me getting into the super large companies. I don't have the infrastructure for that, and doesn't mean we won't eventually go there. I focus more on the small to medium-sized businesses. So if you're going to do across industries, right, I think it's focusing on that small to medium. There is going to be a thread to all of your clients or your organizations. It may just take a couple of clients or organizations to realize what that common thread is.
Can you say more about how you've gone through the process of discerning what the common thread is and then what you do with that information?
Yeah, so for myself, I had to look at who was it that I was most often working with. What were the the proposals that I was winning, and which were the ones that I kept track of, which were the proposals that I was losing out on. If I lost a proposal, I would ask for feedback. Sometimes I would get feedback, sometimes I wouldn't. If I got feedback, then I would use that information to help discern what it is I could improve on, or maybe why that organization wasn't a fit for me. So what I noticed when I was looking at my different clients, they were all very different. A lot of people come to me for software training because that's what I do a lot of. I'm on the road to 500 for my one friend's company. So, but I also realized that what I do and for a lot of organizations is I augment their e-learning department. So they don't have the ability to have a permanent e-learning like company or developer on staff. So I am that e-learning developer so that I can jump in and out as they have the projects, and it helps them kind of take a load off of themselves and not have to worry too much about having the business to keep someone permanent on staff. So it's identifying what are those threads. So I'm looking at things like what are the types of projects that I'm working at as a common thread. What offer was I presented, and what did I give them? What value did I provide to them? And also I'm looking at things like industry, and number how large or small the company is.
That's terrific. Okay, well, I'm going to hand it back to Lisa to help us move to the next section.